Cool. There. I can't see who's in here yet. All right, well, we're loading in. Got some people coming in. That's good. 7. Oh, Chuck's here. Hey, Chuck. All right, well, guess well, Duluth. Carter loves ships. Hey, Carter. To Mary. Nice. 15. Joseph. Hi, Joseph. Tracy's here. Tracy's working on a model, the Manitoulin. It's coming along pretty well. Oh, what happened? Video cut out. Oh, there we go. It's back. Oh, Tori's here. Henry. All right, we got lots of people here. All right, well, welcome everybody. This is going to be my first live stream where I come out and I talk to everyone. I got a few talking points here that I wanted to set up just to let everybody know where I'm at and what my plans are. And I'd like to get some input from all of you, of course, because we're doing this all together. Firstly, the channel is growing pretty wildly. We got 1,760 subscribers now, which is fantastic. Didn't really think it'd ever get to this. Chuck knows. I just started posting videos, just trying to get the word out. One of my goals from starting this channel was to raise awareness of the industry because we have a pretty severe shortage, all positions, from deckhand all the way up to captain. We got, well, at Algoma specifically, we got a bunch of, I know I'm wearing a Lower Lake shirt. Algoma hasn't given me one yet. Algoma's got a bunch of retired captains filling in roles around the fleet. So that's keeping the ships moving. The unions are keeping the other ranks as full as best they can, but everybody's struggling right now to find people, Canadian side and on the US side. So one of my goals was starting this channel to raise awareness. I think that we're doing that. The other one was to show my kids what Daddy does when he's gone for months on end, and they watch my videos and they like them and see what I do and where I am. So things are going very, very well. I've got the Etsy store. We've made some sales through there. The money that I've earned through the Etsy store, I've put straight into the channel. So I haven't kept anything yet. So what I bought is, you'll see, here it is. I got this microphone now. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. but I got the microphone now. That should be working pretty well. I also bought a gimbal made by DJI. It's got tracking software in it, so I don't know if you can see, but as I move around, it's keeping me in frame. The Two Harbors video that I did going into Two Harbors, the arrival video, it's not normal for me to stay in one place when we're going in. Oh, thank you. You can hear me perfect. That's great. It's not normal for me to stay in one place when we're going in and out of port. I'm usually walking around quite a bit, bridge wing to bridge wing, and looking at things. On that one, I stayed in the middle because I knew the camera was there. But with the tripod and this new gimbal with the tracking software, I'm hoping that I could set the tripod up somewhere between the bridge wing and the center console, and it'll follow me back and forth uh, as I move around the wheelhouse, which is going to be pretty cool. Uh, what else do we got? Oh yeah, the pizza delivery video. Yeah, that went really well. So I am investing in the channel. I want to bring more more content. So I do a lot of time lapses. So I just set the camera up in the front window and I hit record, and it'll record for about 5 days before I got to change the SD card out. So that's where I get a lot of my stuff. The other videos that I wanted to do, specifically seamanship stuff and maybe some of the equipment that we have around the ship, I've tried to do it with the GoPros that I have, and the audio is either terrible or the video is terrible, or I can't find a place to set up a camera. And I'm hoping that all those problems are gone now. So I've got a tripod it'll reach up to 7 feet, I think. So I can pretty much mount up anywhere now. And the gimbal that I have now with the tracking software mounts straight to that. So this this is something that I'm going to be working on, more seamanship, more operation type things to see what we do, and maybe some more pizza like videos. We do do some stuff like that from time to time. So that's that's coming. Um, if you guys want to see anything specific, let me know. I will try to work lots of things in. Um, I want to, like I said, I want to do more seamanship and more operational stuff with you guys. I'm working on another video. I got a time lapse just going from Buffalo or Goderich down to Buffalo with salt. Some of you that track me know that we had to go to Port Colborne for a repair on this one when the ballast line ruptured. So I got just a quick picture of what it looked like when the ballast line ruptured. Um, so that'll be in that next video that I'm working on. Yeah, engine room, unloading equipment, whole ship. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing engine room stuff. I'm gonna be doing unloading gear stuff. The Buffalo's got an interesting unloading system. It's a little bit different than the Manitoulin and the Cuyahoga. Cuyahoga was an elevator system, so it had a series of buckets on a chain that rotated up and down. So that's how they got cargo from the tunnel up to the unloading boom. The Manitoulin has a C loop. C loop is the popular way to do things now. So essentially, there's one belt that comes from the tunnel, or on the Manitoulin, there's one on port and starboard side, and then they have the transfer belt that dumps it onto a center belt, and then the center belt sandwiches the cargo and then runs it up and to the top and dumps it on the boom. Now, the Buffalo is more like the Pearson. It's got a uh, it's like a transfer belt system. So there's the tunnel belt goes all the way from the bow to the stern, and then it switches over to a transfer belt, which runs it from the stern up to the boom and then out. So I'm going to be doing one on that. Um, what else do we got? Footage of you entering then Lock 8. Yeah, Lock 8 was good. Duluth arrival. If we go to Duluth, I'm going to do one. I'd love to do a live stream going in through Duluth from when I come up and take control and run into Duluth, radio calls and everything. That would be something that I'd be working on. Yeah, they kept the buckets. Yeah, they kept the bucket system on the Cuyahoga all the way to the end. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that thing ran right to the end, 80 something years. Going right Yeah, so I got lots more coming. Going back to investing in the channel, I'd like to do more live streams and stuff. I'd love to do one for going down the river. The problem with live streaming in the rivers is the cell reception's really bad. Um, I kind of got a solution worked out for that. I'd like to get a portable Starlink set up so that I could hook it up to a live stream camera on board and then turn it on when we do something interesting. Um, I am familiar with Starlink. We got Starlink on the ship. There's two of them. There's a Starlink for the crew and one for the um, kind of business side of things. So I am familiar with I got Starlink here actually in this house. I'm on Starlink right now actually. So I am familiar with Starlink. I want to get it. This is something down the line because I need to have a little bit of recurring revenue from YouTube before I set this up, but it's definitely in the plan. I'd love to get a Starlink and hook it up to one of those Insta 360 cameras and put the camera up on the mast and then be able to stream 360 degrees around from the ship going through the river or into a port. That's something that I'm planning on doing in the future. Um, but that's a little bit down the line for me. Yeah, that would be cool. I'm very excited about that one, but I gotta the channel's gotta advance a little bit more before I start getting the Starlink, and those Insta 360 cameras are a little bit expensive, but it would be great. It's something that I do want to bring up to the channel. Um, well, I guess now is time as good a time as any. Oh, I've lost video again. Coming back. There it is. Oh, there's Mike. Yeah. I have started a membership program through YouTube. Um, it's a way that you can subscribe to me if you feel like I've earned it. I set the tiers. There's three tiers. There were three of the lower tiers there. I didn't set anything pretty astronomical, but any money raised through the membership program will go into me getting more equipment to bring you more views and sights from the ship. The tiers do have specific perks, early access to videos, and other things. I'm still building out the benefits through the membership program, so that's coming. There will be some members only videos that I put through that program as well. Um, but I'm going to continue doing the videos that I've been putting out. That's not going to change. Everything in the channel is not going to change. This is just something extra that I'm going to work on to try and get more equipment to the channel. William said, yeah. Yeah, William, William, you're fantastic. You if I'm making a video, he's gonna watch it. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Algoma management is very supportive of the channel. So when I changed over from, I know the camera's going in and out here. Um, Hopefully it comes back here soon. There we go. Got it. Yeah, Algoma. When I left Lower Lakes Towing to come to Algoma, part of the interview process, I brought up doing this channel. And they brought on their social media team and their marketing team, and we all had a very long conversation before I was hired. Um, they gave me some guidance, let's say, on things that maybe they didn't want to be made public, and that's fine with me. It's nothing, uh, not to hide anything, but it is just maybe some company sensitive data. So certain information about draft restrictions I won't share. Certain information about the clients of the company, service people of the company, the crew. Um, So there's some of that stuff I won't share, but I will be able to share what we do, where we go. Operation wise, I have pretty much unlimited access as long as I remain um, within their requirements. So yeah, they're very supportive. I did explain to them that this is something that I want to do to try and raise awareness of the industry and attract more people to this career path. And they've been very supportive through all of that. So this was something I brought up before I was even hired. So it's not approved, but I have certain guidance I follow, and it's something that they are eager for me to do. Occasion I get asked by the marketing team if they can use some of my videos for some of their stuff. So that's kind of interesting as well. How's the vacation? Vacation's short. It's always short. Vacation's always too short. I'm going to be going back to the boat probably next week. At the latest the week after. So not too much longer. I think I got off on the 8th. I'll be going back around 30 days or so, 30 days off. Yeah, but it's never long enough. Hey, Chuck, serious boat nerd. I've always wanted to learn firsthand from a Laker captain. Yeah, well, I'm the real deal. I've been doing this for, I got promoted to captain December 14th, 2020. I got promoted captain of the Cuyahoga, and I've been doing this ever since. I've been captain on. Well, I got my bottle there. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's all the ships I've been captain of. I just put the Buffalo on there today, but those are all the ones that I've been captain of so far. I'll keep adding as we go. Lake Erie vlogger. Oh yeah, that's Nigel. Nigel just hit a pretty big milestone after that. What was it? The Dubai. I forget the ship name. But yeah, 2.5 million views. Hi Nigel, glad to see you here. Too bad you can't go up the Saginaw River this week. Yeah, the USS Edson, they always salute during the day. Whenever we go up there, I try to blow the whistle if we go past during the day. We always get one back. The the whistles on the Buffalo are very loud, so I don't use them that much because it will wake everybody up in the accommodation. So on other ships like the Manitoulin, the forward whistle, you couldn't hear it from the wheelhouse. Uh, so if you wanted to test it, you had to have somebody up there to listen to it. BBC Dubai, there it is, Nigel. Yeah, absolutely, BBC Dubai. But yeah, so the whistle on the Manitoulin, you couldn't hear from the bridge, but on the Buffalo, it is loud enough in the accommodation that it'll wake people up. So I try not, and that's just the forward whistle. That's not the aft whistle. And the aft whistle, it's got two up there, but it's one switch. Um, they're very loud. So I try not to do it too much, but I do like to blow the whistle for people when we go by. The Edson always returns too, which is nice. And a lot of people on the Saginaw River doesn't really sound inviting to someone like me that's got to avoid everybody. I've had lots of close quarters situations with pleasure boats. One very famously on the Cuyahoga going under the Blue Water Bridge, the sailboat. Um, I was told we were about 6 feet off when we passed by them. Yeah, that was me. So you can look it up on YouTube. Maybe that's a good idea for a video. I'll go and do a commentary on that one because that's pretty vividly ingrained into my brain. Yeah, I'm going back to the Buffalo again. Buffalo is my assignment for this year. It may change next year, depending on what Algoma wants to do with me. Doesn't really bother me too much. They can send me pretty much wherever they want. I do like the Buffalo. The crew there is really good, but I like the Manitoulin and I like the Cuyahoga and I like the Pearson as well. So for me, it's more about the people that I have on the boat rather than the boat itself. But the Buffalo is a fun boat. Oh yeah, the Buffalo went to Marinette, Wisconsin. Yeah, no, I haven't been there yet. I haven't been to Marinette. Have I been to Marinette? Marinette's in Green Bay, right? I think it's in Green Bay. Yeah, no, I haven't been to that one yet. I haven't been there ever. There's still a few ports on the Great Lakes I haven't been to myself. I've been to a lot, but not Marinette. I haven't been to that one. Uh, is there any port on your list to someday visit with a Laker for the first time? Yeah. Well, I haven't been to Marinette. I've never been to Milwaukee either. And every time I get close to going to Milwaukee, crew change comes up and I get kicked off. So Milwaukee is something I want to go to. Being a motorcyclist and a Harley owner, it's kind of a place that I'd like to go visit. But yeah, I just kind of go wherever they tell me. They tell me where to point it, and then I get it there. That's kind of the deal. Do I prefer ship handling on the bridge forward or an aft end? Eric, yeah. Aft end's a little bit nicer for backing into places because you can see the whole ship than than an aft end. An aft end, when you're growing astern, it's a little bit harder to visualize where you are and where you're going than a forward ender. I find. I mean, it's six one, half dozen the other. They're once you learn a ship, it's the limitation of the ship doesn't really matter. Well, limitations of the ship matter. Doesn't matter if it's a forward end or an after end, as long as you learn the limitations of the ship. So what you can do, what you can't do, how strong the back is. So if I'm trying to stop the ship running the engines astern, that's more important to me than forward end or aft end. I've done both. I can go either way. It doesn't really bother me. What I do like on a ship is having a very strong back or being able to stop quickly. And the Buffalo doesn't have that. Buffalo can turn, it'll maneuver. I think I was doing about 5 knots going up the Saginaw River last time I was there on the Buffalo. That was really fun. Last time I did that was on the Pearson. I think we were doing about 4 and a half going up the river there. That was fun. So, what forward or aft end? It's all the same to me. Um, but yeah, that good back, that good stopping power, I do really like that. Buffalo doesn't have that. Lots of salutes. I can faintly hear the forward whistle inside the Burns Harbor. The aft whistle has woken me up a few times. Yeah, so the aft whistle on the Buffalo, it shakes the wheelhouse. I jumped the first time I sounded it. I got on in Port Colborne at Wharf. Oh, where were we? Wharf 12, I think, or 11. I forget. Anyway, I got on for the first time in Port Colborne, and I was doing all the tests, making sure everything was running the way that it should be running. But I sounded that aft whistle, and oh my god, the whole wheelhouse shakes when the aft whistle goes. But yeah, the Burns Harbor, that 1,000 footer, that's really saying something. If you can hear the forward whistle from inside the accommodation. Yeah, it is sad about the Cuyahoga, but it did try to kill us twice. I mean, I like that boat, and I'd still be there if it was still operational. I'd still be on it. But it had big problems. So it was full of asbestos for one. There was asbestos everywhere. You couldn't drill into the walls. It was in the floors. It was in the deck head. Um, there was asbestos everywhere. The tunnel was starting to fall apart. Not as bad as the Mississauga was, but it was getting there. It had problems with the structure surrounding the gates. So for unloading the gates, there's on a self unloader. I think everyone knows. There's gates that run up and down the ship inside the cargo holds. The Cuyahoga was a double belt system, so it had a port and starboard system, and there's square holes, and they have a frame going around on the inside to support the hopper plate, and then the gates are built off of the frame, and the frames were starting to rot out on the Cuyahoga, which was really not great because some of the tracks would fall out and you couldn't close the gates all the way or they'd jump. The Cuyahoga had clam style gates, so they would close like this and open, and on the sides there is teeth that would interlock, and sometimes the tooth would jump, and then it'd have like a crack. It would leak cargo like crazy. We used to shove big foam sponges up in there to get it to stop, or all kinds of things. So yeah, it's sad that the Cuyahoga's gone. That thing was a race car. When it came to maneuvering, it would stop quickly, whether it was loaded or light. Uh, it had a really good, strong kick. If I wanted to like start rotation with the rudder and the engine, if I put it 60% on, I could take it off, and it would. What was it? It was 13 and a half seconds or something till the pitch came on, and then same for it to come off, and it was really strong. So yeah, I miss that boat, but it had problems. All ships have problems. Buffalo's got problems. Even the Endeavor's got problems. Um, there's Boats are like people. They all have their own character and flaws and um, all these different things. So yeah, Endeavor would be a nice gig. Yeah, Endeavor would be a nice gig. It's a new boat. Ford boom. It's just a bigger version of the Manitoulin, I think. Um, I think the Manitoulin's plans were based off the Ford end plans for Algoma. I think they're pretty similar. It does have like a newer engine. Everything in it's new. It's not one of these Frankenstein builds. The Manitoulin was new from the aft winches forward, and then from the 90s, the aft winches aft. Timmy Carey, been to Muskegon? Yes, been to Muskegon lots of times on lots of different boats. I do like Muskegon, going by the submarine there. I forget what its name is, Silver Sides or something like that. But yeah, I've been to Muskegon lots of times. Jamie, the guy that works at Verplanks, he always comes down. I like Jamie a lot. Jamie's always treated us very well. Jamie, he does a lot of the boats from a few places around there. I think he does Grand Haven, Holland, and Muskegon. I'm not sure if he does Ludington as well, but I do like Jamie. Jamie was always pretty nice to us. Poor Culver is sound to be muted. What's the most challenging job as captain? People. Dealing with the crew is the most challenging job. We have 20 people on average across the crew, and having everyone work together towards the same goal, which is the safe, efficient movement of cargo, is the hardest part of my job. I've docked boats in fog. I backed out of Grand Haven from all the way up at the end by that bridge, backed all the way out in the fog, couldn't see anything. Um, Dealing with people is the number one hardest thing that I do. Getting everyone to work together from different backgrounds, even nationalities now. So now we got people from Ukraine and Eastern Europe coming on with people from the Philippines, and it's becoming a melting pot of different people on board. So yeah, it's dealing with interpersonal issues is the hardest part of the job. Driving the boat, doing the rivers, all that stuff. Even dealing with the two fires on the Cuyahoga was easier than some days working with some of these difficult crew members, I think. Um, so yeah, that's the hardest one that I can think of. Ever been to Grand Haven? Lots of times. Like I just said, I backed out from the bridge up there, right at the end of the river. I backed all the way out in the fog. I do like Grand Haven. It's very scenic going in. Lots of sand. So if you miss the piers, you got a soft bottom. I think the Pearson ran aground there last year. There's always somebody running aground in one of those ports. The sand on the bottom of the lake in Lake Michigan always silts in, usually from the north, if I remember correctly. Still better than having to tarp hatches on the Saginaw. Yeah, I did that for 4 months. Tarping hatches on the Saginaw. That is an awful, terrible job. Those tarps made think they weigh 300 pounds, and you got 30 of them, I think, on the Saginaw. How many was there? 30? 30 hatches, I think. Yeah. So, if for anyone that doesn't know, the Saginaw has leafed hatches. Um, I forget what the real name is, but anyway, they kind of cascade over each other. So when you pull them, they all stack up, and then when you pull them out, they kind of all come out, and they're not watertight at all. So you have to tarp them when you're loaded. Technically, you're supposed to tarp them all the time. Anytime you're loaded, you're supposed to have the tarp on them. I think most of the time they just run them when it's got water sensitive cargo in there, but yeah, you're supposed to tarp those things all the time. I think legally. Tori, thanks for the salutes to the Blue Water Bridge. Yeah, I'll keep them coming as soon as I get back on. As a whole, all the boats look like hell. Yeah, yeah, they all do because they're run for a season, and then they get maintained as best they can in the winter. But they all go. It's running a ship. It's not like the old days where there was, fanfare and all this. These ships are working ships, so their whole purpose is to make money. Unfortunately, adding paint doesn't make money in the freshwater world. The salties get painted because the paint protects it against corrosion in the salt water, so the ships last longer. Even I think most of the salties, are lifespans about 25 or 30 years on a salty. And as we know with the Cuyahoga, some of the freshwater boats they run 80 years. So paint's not really high on the chopping block when it comes to the budget for very obvious reasons, and I get it. I have had the crew paint a little bit around the Buffalo. I think it needed it. We can't do much on the ship side because well, regulation says that we're not supposed to do too much painting, well, at least in Canadian waters anyway. But they don't like most of the sports don't like when we have paint the ship side and then the paint goes in the water. Yeah, they all look like hell. Alpina's back at it. Yeah, the Alpina's running again. The Alpina outlive us all, I think. Geez, that boat's been running. I think that one's older than the Cuyahoga by a couple of years. The Alpina, she's been running around forever. Oh yeah, hit the like button. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, hit the like button. It does help. Good to see you're not on fire today. Well, no, not today. Well, there's still time for that in the future. The Radcliffe, our Latimer, I think they had a fire recently, a generator fire. I don't think it was super serious from what I've heard. And I haven't heard much. Usually, if it's a big disaster, I'll hear something about it. But I haven't heard much about that one. So I'm sure it's not too terrible. For those of you interested, the TSB report came out about the Cuyahoga fire in 2023. So that is something that's available to the public. I don't know where the link is. Somebody showed me the link. Anyway, it's got all the details there. Maybe that's something that I can do for a future video is talk about that one. It was not a great situation, and when you read the report, not only were we on fire, but nothing worked. So the CO2 system didn't work. The emergency fire pump didn't supply fire to the fire mains. So yeah, it was not great. Um, but yeah, that's something I could talk about in a future video. Oh, what do we got here? Funniest moment for me was when Seaway Welland sent an alert by radio that the maximum speed in Welland Canal. Yeah. Okay. So not maximum prescribed speed, max permissible. So I've been training since 2018 as captain. Got promoted in 2020. I just want to address this max permissible thing. So back when I was training and up until the incident with the McKeel boat and the Salty there in the level, there used to be something called max permissible speed. Max permissible speed was 1.9 knots above the posted speed limit. So the speed limit in the level is 8 knots. So we used to do 1.9 knots over that. So 9.9 knots, which was the max permissible speed. So the McKeel ship during that incident was doing the max permissible speed, and the other one I think was doing like 3 knots or something. And then they had the collision for whatever reason. I wasn't in the wheelhouse, so I don't really like to comment on those things because I know firsthand that it's easy to um, try and make something up that didn't happen about an incident, because those two fires that I went through and most of the uh, news reporting agencies got it wrong. So I try not to kind of read into these situations too much. Anyway, I digress. Max permissible speed 1.9 knots above the posted speed limit. So we used to do 9.9 knots through the level, and when we did that, it we would get called by the traffic, the Seaway, and they would say proceed at max permissible speed to Port Robinson or to Lock 7 or whatever the case may be. In this instance, I was in. They stopped doing this, by the way, after the McKeel and Salty incident. So they stopped telling people to proceed at max permissible. The other day, I was in Lock 8, and the operator, Seaway operator, called me. He said, "Proceed at max permissible speed to Port Robinson." I think it was Port Robinson or Lock 7 or whatever. Um, and I called him back, and I recorded this, and I asked him, I said, "Did you say max permissible?" And he said, "Yes." So to me, that I understand that as somebody that came from, I guess, that era before the incident, doing 9.9 knots. So I was doing 9.9 knots through the level, and then he called me and said, "Oh yeah, the speed limit's 8 knots," which it is, but he told me max permissible, which is 1.9 knots above the posted speed limit. But anyway, yeah, they tried to give me a speeding ticket for that one, and yes, we do get speeding tickets, and they're not cheap. It's in the thousands of dollars. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going through it. Do I like Algoma over Lower Lakes? Shipping companies are by and large very, very similar, as they're all working towards the same goal, which is the safe, efficient movement of cargo, especially in the Great Lakes. So, especially in the Great Lakes, because they're all visiting the same ports. They got the same companies moving the same products. It's all very, very similar. So, Algoma does offer some things like ships that Lower Lakes doesn't have, and that's one of the reasons why I went to Algoma over, let's say, McKeel or CSL. Algoma has a long-standing history spanning over 100 years. I think it's 126 years this year that they've been operational. So their company has spanned through the Great Depression and all these other downturns in the market, and they still exist. So as a person to me, and that was kind of the factor for me choosing Algoma over anywhere else. Now, the reason I left Lower Lakes was that, well, they're losing ships for one, and you can't have a shipping company without ships. So they're down to 4 operational ships in the Lower Lakes fleet. And while I was there, I've been out for a while now. I don't know what their plans are or anything, but while I was there, they didn't convey any plans for growth or renewal of the fleet while I was there. At least they didn't tell me or the other captains this. So yeah, I did like it at Lower Lakes, but I can't risk my family's future on the hopes and dreams that I have for renewal of fleet or expansion. So I did leave. Algoma's treated me very well. I have zero complaints about coming to Algoma. The people there are great. The office people, particularly, have treated me very well. So I don't have any regrets. Do I like one over the other? I can't really say that yet, but I do. I do like Algoma. They've treated me and my friend Scott that came with me. They've treated us very, very well since we arrived. So yeah, can't really pick one or the other. They keep extending seasons starting earlier, which is less time for maintenance. Yeah, they do have less time for maintenance, and they also try to push this 5-year uh, requirement for dry docking every time too. So they get 6 years between dry dockings. So they do push it, but that's a business move. for the people that work with the money. So if you get 6 years between dry dockings and you skip one every, what is it, every 20 years, you get one for free or something like that. Because then you get, or 25 years. So yeah, what type of equipment recording you thinking? I've noticed a DJI mic. Yes, Nigel, I did. There it is. DJI mic. Yes, I just got it. I lost it. Anyway, Nigel, yeah, I got the equipment here. I'm trying to upgrade as best I can so that we can get more views and more info out into the world. So that's something that I'm diligently working on and working towards. I can't buy everything all at once, but I am taking any money that I've gained through this channel or through the Etsy store, and I am putting it directly back into equipment for the channel. I Nigel, I did get the DJI Osmo Mobile 7P with the tracking software. I don't know if you can tell, Nigel. I'm kind of going back and forth in it. It's following me around. I'm hoping to set it up on a tripod in the wheelhouse so that we can do some more maneuvering videos. I'll set a camera up maybe above one of the conning stations, and then I'll have this one running so that we can go in and out, or it'll follow me around. Tori EMS crews love the videos. Yeah, Tori, that's fantastic. I talked to some of the other guys over there, the guys that fly the planes and the helicopters. They seem pretty cool as well. So always love that. Oh, I got a super chat. Thanks, Dan, for the $10 super chat. That's awesome. Thank you. And we got Robert Higgins. Is Robert Higgins as a new member? Robert, fantastic. Thank you. Tori, max permissible speed. Yeah, smokes max permissible. Bankruptcy didn't help Rand Logistics. Well, so Rand, I don't know if I should be going into this or not, but I'm going to. Rand has had several owners over the last few years. Some of them less scrupulous than others, but it's some of the owners that we've had that they've had over the last few years. I think the main goal for them was to take to earn on the investment and then pull out. So like it's a business. It's not like, as much as we'd all like it to be this fanfare of fantastic ships like the forward end river class boats like the Cuyahoga, Mississauga, and all those, the Ryerson and the Anderson and the Sykes. They're all fantastic looking boats, but companies are now building ships to make money. They're not building them to be pretty anymore, which is, I think, unfortunate. But yeah, the forward end thing is going to be something I don't think we'll see again in the future, because you have to have two of everything. So on the Cuyahoga, we had to have a steam line for heat running from the engine room up forward. So that's 600 feet of steam line to be maintained to a high standard so that we don't get leaks. And then you have another super chat, Smokes. Smokes, thanks for this. So you had to have double everything. So you had the steam line that ran up forward. You had to have two hot water tanks or water heaters. So you had one forward, one aft. You had air conditioner up forward, air conditioner aft, the sewage system up forward, sewage system aft. So basically, there's double everything on these forward enders, and so the maintenance is twice what an aft ender would be. So on the Manitoulin, we had one sewage system, one air conditioner system, one heating system that didn't have 600 feet of steam pipe that had to go had to be maintained. It's yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's kind of how it rolls. Oh well. LOT lost a couple captains too. Yeah, well, Captain Carlson, he retired. And there's a really funny story about Captain Carlson's retirement dinner. Captain Carlson retired, and then the company called him out for a retirement dinner, but gave him the wrong date. So, yeah, that went about as well as you would think. The 5-year extension's coming to an end. Maybe it depends. They could be the 1-year extension on the 5-year. It could be coming down uh, more strict inspections. Um, but with Lakers the way they are, it's hard to regulate them the same as deep sea ships because they're so different. And we're well, many of them are not SOLAS class, which is very confusing to some people. I know the U.S. Coast Guard, they rotate their people around a little bit. So we'll get an inspector that maybe has spent the last 5 or 10 years in Miami or New York doing SOLAS class ships, and he'll run through his checklist when he does his port state control inspection, and he'll say, "Well, show me this," and then I'll tell him we don't have it, and then I get a very confused look about why don't we have this, like SAT-C. Inmarsat-C is a satellite-based communication system that's required for SOLAS ships and deep sea ships. We don't have that. We don't have pretty much any of them. So when they ask to see things like that, I have to explain that we're not SOLAS, and we have a different set of rules that apply to us. So the rules that apply to us is governed under the Canada Shipping Act rather than a SOLAS book. SOLAS is an international convention. Transport Canada has its own rules for us under the Canada Shipping Act. And as the time goes on, they're getting more and more like SOLAS. We get a lot of people coming from different areas into Transport Canada, and to make it simpler, I don't know, for simpler for them, or they don't understand the lake system. They're changing a lot of things to be deep sea stuff. So, for example, recently regulation came out that we are now required to carry a SART. SART is a search and rescue transponder. So that is for identifying people in distress. So what it does is creates a readable message. Well, not message. It's readable on the X-band radar. So a SART, when activated, will be a series of dots pointed in the direction of whoever's in distress, and then the first dot is them, and then the other dots are it's like a trail. Um, and then as you get closer, it turns into concentric rings. Now, a lot of people that I work with wouldn't even know what one looked like on a radar because we've never had them before, and they've sailed all their lives in the Great Lakes, and they just don't know what they are. And for us to need something like that in the Great Lakes is kind of strange to me, because most of us, if anything happens, well, for example, when Cuyahoga caught fire, we were in cell phone range. I could call my house. I could call home. And these SARTs are more for deep sea things than for us, as far as I could tell. No, thanks, Tracy. Appreciate the $10 super chat, Tracy. Thank you. All right, Lake Erie vlogger. Nigel, glad you went DJI. I've stopped using GoPro. Now back to shipping. I'm really enjoying this insight with you, Q&A. Yeah, I like doing this kind of thing. Nigel, I worked for Princess Cruise Lines for many years. And I was often the only native English speaker in the wheelhouse. So I worked with a lot of Italians and, different nationalities. So we had this thing called the Navigation at Sea presentation. Now, for anyone that's been on a cruise, maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. But they used to do mine in what they called the Princess Theater, and I think it seated 700 people or something. And I used to get up on the stage in front of everybody, and I'd talk about how we would navigate the ship, what kind of equipment we used. I had a big, long PowerPoint presentation that I would go through, and I used to do it once a cruise. So public speaking and this Q&A kind of stuff is something that I did at the end. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I'm not too worried about it. It's when you're staring down the face of 700 people from a stage, and they're all watching you talk about how GPS works. It's a little bit daunting, but this is not so bad at all. But yeah, I did go to DJI. I am a licensed drone pilot here in Canada, and I do have a few DJI drones, so I know the video quality was very good. The GoPros I used to mount to my drones when I would fly them, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I did know DJI, and that's why I came to do this. Robert, isn't there a section in the deck cadet logbook about TMZ style camera work? Eric, yeah, I don't think TMZ style camera work is in the cadet book. On the Buffalo, we can't take cadets. We got all our bunks filled. So when we went down to Prescott recently, I had to kick off one of the crew members so that we could get a pilot on. For those of you been following me for a little while, know that I'm working on getting my Seaway qualification. So the Seaway is between Lake Ontario and Montreal. There's two districts there, District One and District Cornwall, and I am working on doing that. Well, thanks, guys. The super chats are fantastic. Thanks, Chuck and Mike. Thanks, Mike. Yes, no problem, guys. I do enjoy doing this kind of stuff. I'm hoping to do more of this in the future. Maybe I can do a live stream from the ship from somewhere. I have to work on that. Now that I got this set up with the gimbal, the tracking software, and the tripod, so that is going to be something that I'm going to be working on in the future. Creditors, lenders are the worst owners. Yeah, see, that's kind of what happened to Rand. Is the investors that took over the company is they wanted to pull money out, which in business is fair game. Like I get it, but it wasn't to the benefit of the ships or the crew necessarily. I think a lot of things were kind of put off to the side that maybe shouldn't have been. Brent Rail Productions, thank you for the super chat. That's fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, they wanted to get their money back. They wanted to make an investment and get a return, which, I get it, but, shipping companies, it's hard to run a shipping company if you're letting the decisions be made by the people trying to make a profit, unfortunately. But but the people trying to make the profit are usually the owners. So, like I said, it'd be great if they could all run on boats like the Ryerson or the Sykes or the Cuyahoga all the time, but it just doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't make financial sense, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Rio Judy, that's exactly it. It's a business. It's to make money, and we just get to play their game and make money with them, I guess. But yeah, Tracy, nice. Captain John, yeah, John is over at McKeel now. He's John is. Oh, we got more super chats here. Nigel, thank you for the $10, Nigel. Um, yeah, Tracy, John's over there, and John's got the best gig in the world. He's over there training new captains. So he's over there doing ship handling and piloting, and they're doing most of the paperwork. So for John, that works out great for him. If I had that, that would be great for me too. Because the paperwork here is it gets to be more and more every year, and yeah, it's kind of crazy. Boat nerd 22. Sorry if someone asked this. When I'm going back to the boat the end of next week or early the week after. I think around the 6th or something. I'm expecting to go back. Um, I'm not sure where yet. I got to call my relief there, and we'll figure out a date. Crew changes are a bit fluid. So when I join or leave a vessel, because the schedule isn't exact, like it's not a train running on time. We just kind of catch it when we can. So you have to be very open to change when crew changes come up. So we'll plan for something around like the 6th or something. And then at the best port within a few days, either way of the 6th, we'll change out. So for example, say I want to join the ship on the 6th, and the ship is going to be in, let's say they're going to be in Marathon, Ontario, which is a port I haven't been to. I do know guys I've been to, but it's northern Lake Superior, right smack in the middle. And on the 6th, we're going to be there. Well, I'll call the boat, or I'll call the captain that's there now, my relief, and I'll tell him, listen, this doesn't really work for me. And they'll say, okay, well, we're going to be in Windsor at the fuel dock in 2 days. Great. we'll wait 2 days and we'll do it then. And then his relief time or his time at home will start counting from then, and then I'll come back. But it works the same the other way too. So say they were going to be in Sarnia 2 days before they were in Marathon. Well, I would hop on in Sarnia 2 days early. So it's very fluid. N34, I enjoy the video. It's exciting to see the lakes content. No one has done anything like this before. Yeah, well, yeah, this is exactly why I'm doing this kind of stuff. Is the industry is kind of suffering with crew right now. Um, but I'm hoping that this kind of maybe opens some people's eyes to see that this is a career path. So I am trying to get the word out. That was one of my goals when I started doing this. Chuck has been following me for I don't know how many, I think a year or two. Hey, Chuck. But yeah, so it's working. We're gaining traction together as a group and we're raising awareness. That is one of the goals I had setting up to do this. Silvery 13, I'm late, but hi. Yeah, hi, Silvery, no problem. You're good at this and in the videos. Thanks, Lauren. I appreciate that. Appreciate the vote of confidence there. I sailed on the Buffalo as a cadet back in the 90s. I bet it was almost in the same shape than what it's in now. Well, I bet it's in far worse shape than then. But yeah, the Buffalo had. I'm told it used to have a recliner in the wheelhouse. Is that true? Can someone tell me if it did have a recliner in the wheelhouse? Because I'd love to put one back in. I just need to know where. Another super chat. Angela, thank you for the $20 super chat, Angela. Thanks for all the great videos. I've learned a lot from you. Well, no problem, Angela. It's one of the goals I had coming out to do this when I started all that time ago. So thank you for the super chat, and I'm going to keep going. Don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I'm reinvesting in everything, trying to bring more, better content all the time. That pizza video was just something I had in my pocket that I was able to churn out. I had some pictures and stuff, so hopefully I can do some more things like that too. Report back to the Buffalo. Yeah, that's the end of next week. Kathy, Captain TJ's here. Hi, Kathy. Friendly reminder: hit the like button. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, hit the like button. That'd be great. Howdy smokes. Any word of the future of the duel? The duel, I don't know. I don't know. I know it's due for dry dock soon, but I don't have any knowledge on that at all. Um, I don't get a lot of behind the scenes information from the office. That's not something that they share with me. Uh, so I don't know. The duel, Tim S. duel. I did hear at the captain's meeting. They did tell me that they've had it evaluated. It is repairable. The Tim S. duel is repairable, and if the capacity is needed, they have a price on the repair that would be required, and they are able to bring it back if the capacity is needed. This year being a slow year, I don't see that kind of happening, but in the future, it's still available. So it's not planned for scrap. It's kind of in a semi long term layup kind of thing. But apart from that, I don't really have a lot of information on the duel. I'd love to give this a try, but I don't think my wife would love. Well, you know what, Mike? Your wife may like you being gone more than you realize. I know my wife. By the end of the month at home, especially since when I'm home, I'm at the house all the time with the family. I know towards the end of the 30 or 40 days, my wife is, "Do you need to go back to the ship yet?" Yeah, so it all depends. Maybe your wife likes you more than my wife likes me. I don't know. Favorite harbor I've ever visited? Boat Nerd 22. What's your favorite harbor you've ever visited? Favorite place I've ever been is not on the Great Lakes. Favorite place I've ever been. Now you can look this up. It's called. What's it called? Champagne Bay is what we called it, but it went by a different name. I think it's called Hogs Bay. Hogs Bay is in Vanuatu, which is a chain of islands next to Fiji, between Fiji and New Caledonia. That place it was like walking onto a postcard. Um, really incredible. On the Great Lakes, I don't think I have a favorite one on the Great Lakes. I like all of them. My favorite places on the Great Lakes tend to be the ports that have rivers. So Buffalo, I do like Buffalo because it had the river there in Buffalo, and I get to see my man Nick on the tug. I do miss Nick. I haven't been in there in a while. Cleveland, I do like. The old riverbed's okay. I like going up the main river. Scott, the tug captain there, and Scott, named Scott, he is great. We used to do when I went in there on the Cuyahoga. We used to come out doing about 3 knots in the straightaways. So Scott and I, we had a great time there. Saginaw is always fun. I like Saginaw. Grand Haven is a good time. I don't get off at a lot of these places. Usually, when I get on the boat, I don't tend to get off at all because I get something happens and I'm not there. It kind of it bothers me. Let's say it would bother me if something happened and I wasn't there. So I tend not to get off the boat until my relief shows up. That's pretty much anywhere. I don't really get off too much at all. Smoke style captain recliner in the wheelhouse. Yep, no, some of them do. Pizza video was amazing. Yeah, it was. It's crazy to me how they're so short on crews. If 2008 was bad for the economy, yeah, it was. They are short on crews, and most people that I talk to about this industry, they don't realize that you can get employed on a ship. They don't realize that it's a career path. Um, so that's one thing that kind of struck me as strange, and that's why I started doing videos like this, and the time lapses and other things, just to kind of bring awareness to what you could do, the employment opportunities that are out there. Like we got guys starting, 80, $90,000 a year, and they dropped out of high school. Like there's no education required to start at this. One of the captains that trained me, who was a really, I consider him a very good captain. He never finished high school, and he's doing this, and he is one of the better ones I think that I've worked with, and it's just the sacrifice is time at home. That's the sacrifice. So the money's there in lieu of being with your family or being at home. You're gonna miss Christmases and birthdays and weekends and concerts and whatever, but that's the trade-off. In exchange for skipping all that stuff, you get to have a long-standing career doing something great that you don't need to have a lot of education to get started in. Now, there's a big knowledge gap between starting and getting to captain or chief engineer, which is the top of the two um, different departments on a ship. There's a lot to learn on the way, but you can learn it on the way. You don't have to start with any knowledge. If you can hold a shovel, you can work for us. That's basically the only requirement. Yeah. Crazy man, so short. It was cool. I joked with some that Ojibwe delivery service. Yeah. Yeah, the pizza video was kind of neat. The Westcott guys, they're great. All you got to do is call them up with about 3 or 4 hours notice, and they'll bring you out a pizza or whatever you want. They've even done Uber Eats. You can get it delivered down there. Guys get McDonald's and Arby's and whatever else. Anything on the Michipicoten. And yeah, the Michipicoten is it's hard to say about the Michipicoten because that hull is not in the best shape. Um, so for many, many, many years, that boat had been loaded with 17 or 18,000 tons of iron ore in less than 4 hours. That's fast. So when you're doing things like that and loading fast so often, you're constantly flexing the steel in the ship's hull, and it gets weak. The Michipicoten is old, but I don't know how much strength it's got left in the Michipicoten. I can't comment. That's one ship at Lower Lakes that I never sailed on, so I don't know too much about what's going on with it, but I do know a bit of its history, and that kind of makes me question whether or not it'll sail again. Just knowing that it's been loaded so quickly, so often for so many years, I would have concerns. I'm sure they would do a great repair on it, and everything would be fine. But something like that is going to happen again. Actually, I know a few years ago it had so many cracks in the hull that the classification society, I forget, I think they're ABS. I think ABS said that they had to go to dry dock. They couldn't put any more cement boxes in. Cement boxes is something that if we find a crack in the ship's hull, it often temporarily repair it with a cement box, so they'll weld the steel box, fill it with cement, and then close it. And that's a temporary repair the for a crack. Now, the Mitch McCotton had so many cement boxes in it at one point that it was sent to dry dock to have all the cracks repaired. I didn't know that there was a limit on how many cracks you could have or cement boxes you could have until the Mitch McCotton. Yeah. Carter ships. TJ Buffalo leaving Bruce Mines, heading to Hamilton. What's the next ship that you're going to be capping on? Carter, I'm going back to the Buffalo. That is my assignment for the year. I will be there. Unless I'm doing Seaway trips. If I start getting some Seaway trips, I could be anywhere. But for my long trips, my 6-week rotation is going to be on the Buffalo this year. They won't change me unless something drastic happens. Mike Helt is a newlywed. Well, congratulations, Mike. Welcome to, welcome to the life of being a married man. It's not all roses and rainbows, but some days it is. Would have been introduced before we would have. If I would have been introduced to this before I met her, we never would have met. Yeah, maybe, but maybe you would have. You never know. I met my wife on a ship. My wife used to work in the shops on the passenger ships I used to work on, and that's how we met. Chuck pulled up Hogs Bay. Sure would work for me. Yeah, Chuck. The pictures make it look much worse than what it actually is. I can promise you that. It's like that Hogs Bay is like walking onto a postcard. It's incredible. How do you like the Sandpoint Beach Dock? Sandpoint Beach Dock. Which one's that? Tracy, what's the Sandpoint Beach Dock? You're gonna have to give me some more details. We must call it something different. In Toledo, do you at least send someone to Tony Paco's? Uh, the guys go up to Tony Paco's all the time, although there was one instance where a couple guys went up to Tony Paco's and they didn't come back. We later found out that they got into a fight with some of the local people in Toledo for whatever reason. It was probably their fault, knowing them. And yeah, they didn't come back. Yeah, so yeah, Tony Paco's the chili cheese dogs, right? Tony Paco's. Yeah, I get sometimes they'll bring them back. Yeah, most of the Great Lakes Fleet captains I worked under were Hosepipe guys. Yeah, NIN 34, NIN 34. Yeah, most of the guys that I worked with at Lower Lakes were Hosepipe guys, and they were some of the best guys. Maybe they didn't know all the ins and outs of the regulations, but as far as getting the ship in and out of port, doing the rivers, and teaching, I think they were some of the best. If they could run a ship like a video game, lots of employees. Oh my God. Well, you know what? There has been, I forget who's doing this. Someone over in Europe is trying to set it up. So the operation of the ship getting from one end to the other is like how well, you know, the USA's got the Predator drones, and they pilot them halfway across the world from a trailer in Nevada, or that's how the story goes anyway. That's what some companies over in Europe are trying to do with some freighters. They're trying to have them remotely operated. Now, maybe that'll work, but for now, they still need people like me on scene. I know in the marine industry, often, even though it was first, it often takes after the airline industry. My dad was a airline pilot for 30 something years, and The computers could land the plane, but there was a requirement that he had to do so many landings a month. So maybe one day they'll have it set up like that, but it's likely that they'll still need somebody like me around and able to operate the ship in case of anything, I guess. Wondered if the speed would have affected it. Yeah, maybe. Would you ever consider working on an American shipping company? Like Interlake has some of the nicest looking boats I've ever seen. I was up next to, I think it was the K.E. Barker, and that boat was something nice. The forward wheelhouse design. It had bow thruster, proper accommodation, bow stern thruster, engine. Like Interlake's got some nice boats. I would consider working for an American shipping company. I would even like it. I'd love to go on one of those footers just to go up and down the river and see how they do it. There was a guy, I forget his name now. He does the videos up in Duluth. Vibe with Mike. Mike's going on one of the footers for a trip, and I am very jealous. Not only have I heard that the cooks are something spectacular on there, which makes a big it's a big thing having a great cook on board. So I've heard the cooks are great. The budget for the galley is larger over there than it was for us. Yeah, it's but yeah, American shipping company would be great. The downside for me right now is that one, I'm not an American citizen, and two, if I were to go over, because of the rules that are in place in the USA, I would have to rewrite all of the exams up to master in order to get my license transferred over. Um, they would count the sea time, but they wouldn't count the exams, which I think is fair, but I don't really want to have to redo all my exams. There's a lot to get up to where I'm at now. So does loading fast does fast loaded stress the hull too? Yeah. So loading fast. This is the problem with the Mitsubishi Cotton that I was talking about. They load it so quickly, so many times that the steel weakens in the hull. Yeah. Thanks, Captain. Oh, Boat Nerd's out. Boat Nerd 22. All right. Thanks, Boat Nerd 22. Yeah, I'll see you on the next one. I'll be doing more of these. I'd be afraid of the crew which every crack. Yeah. Well. Yeah, there is that. Every creek would worry me silly. Yeah, on the Mitchell Cotton, yeah, it would. It would worry a lot of people. I don't know if I'd trust it. It's hard to tell. It depends. It depends. I'd have to go over there. His wife likes her husband. That's great news. Yeah, Cam's gone back. Yeah, the cam's going in and out. I'm kind of trying to set up here. I'd like to do some of these live streams while I'm on the boat. And take some questions there. So I'm trying to set up with minimal equipment that I can travel with. So I got my gimbal. I'm actually using my phone as the webcam right now on the gimbal, tracking me around. So this is a test for me to do that kind of stuff, and hopefully that well, it's been going pretty well. I know it's been cutting in and out. I'm not sure if that's the equipment or if it's the internet. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it keeps working like this, but I'm more than willing to do more of these in the future. Tracy, Sandpoint Beach is the Southwest Sales. Oh yeah, okay. So that's Southwest Sales, East Windsor Dock. I know exactly where that's in behind Pesh Island. Hang on, Tracy. I got one before you there. What's the story of the lost anchor in Duluth? Oh, the Buffalo lost its anchor in Duluth. I wasn't on board. I was at home. It got pulled. Not sure if the brake failed. I wasn't there, so this is another one of those things. I don't like really commenting too much on things if I wasn't there firsthand to see it, because you never know what people were thinking or what actually went on inside the wheelhouse. The facts that I do know is that they were at anchor, and for whatever reason, the brake was unable to hold the gypsy. So the gypsy is like a geared wheel where the chain slots in, and then the brake is a big band that goes around it. and the brake was unable to hold the gypsy from rotating. The gypsy paid out, which paid the chain out, and then it pulled all the chain out right to the bitter end. And the bitter end is actually a nautical term for those of you that don't know. The bitter end is a piece of steel that goes through the last link in the chain of the anchor, and it stops it from getting pulled out. Now, modern ships have the ability to let go the bitter end from outside of the chain locker, but older ships like the Buffalo, you got to be inside. So it pulled the chain out until it got to the bitter end, and then the bitter end broke, and then it all came out. They got it back, they got it put on, but that's kind of what I've heard about that. Apart from or why it happened, other than that, I really don't know. So Tracy, Sandpoint Beach, yeah, the East Windsor dock. East Windsor dock is deep enough and wide enough that you can get in there on almost any boat you want. The problems with the East Windsor dock is the current is you're sheltered from the current until you get out past Pesh Island there, and then it comes at you like a freight train. And if you're not tucked in up tight to Pesh Island and you're loaded, you can't hold the ship off the dock. There's been ships that run aground there in the channel just before the dock because they don't anticipate the current that's there. So what I usually do, and again, I'm not going to comment on other people. I'll just tell you what I do. So I usually stay 50, 80 to 100 feet off of Pesh Island. And I'll go up and then I'll try and set down onto the dock so that we get to the dock in position. As soon as I'm coming out behind Pesh Island, I got the bow thruster full to port and the rudder is hard to starboard. And I'm giving shots on the engine like this, holding it up into it, trying to gently land on the dock there. It's one of those tricky ones. You can't run too much past it because there's no water past the end of the dock. You run aground, so you can't carry any speed to counter the current. So best you can do is kind of feather it with the engines and the thruster and just kind of play it and let it set you down. Work with the current rather than against it. Somebody that was training me a long time ago said you'll never overpower nature, so figure out a way to use it to your advantage. And that's what I do almost all the time, and it works out sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. Roger Blau was nice to work on. Yeah, the Roger Blau is one of my favorite ships. Big, wide ship, man. That I would have loved to be on that one. Betty, thanks for sharing your job as a boat watcher on the Sulak channel. You give the world a great appreciation for the look inside the industry. Yeah, well, I'm trying. Thanks, Bet. It's there's more coming. I'm going to dive more into the operational side of things in the future now that I've got this microphone and the gimbal set up. So there's going to be more coming. I still got a job to do, so it's not going to be super fast. But I would love to put out a seamanship playlist so that you could learn some of the things that I learned coming up through the ranks. I've started that with the bowline. I'm going to do more. I got some waxed whipping line. I'm going to go over some whips. We're going to do some splices. We're going to do some knots. Only things that we use. I'm not going to get into things that are like a carrick bend or anything fancy like that. I'm only going to put in things that we actually use on the Great Lakes and things I've used internationally as well. I learned to splice 12 and 24 strand nylon line when I was on passenger ships, and that was kind of neat. So that's something that I would like to put out as well. I'm going to have to break a line first, though. So we'll see how that goes. Chuck, vibe with Mike, travel from Sioux to Duluth on an ASC footer. Yeah, I know Chuck. He's very lucky. I mean, also sailing fast because he used to do over 14 knots coming into Duluth. Yeah, I have gone pretty quickly coming into Duluth as well. So speed can make you or it can break you. So correct speed control is one of the biggest things when the ship handling. Now, it's not always go slow and you'll be fine because going slow makes you more susceptible to current and wind. But going fast also isn't the answer because now you need to stop or turn or maneuver the ship. So there's a delicate balance between too much and too little speed. And if you can be at the right speed all the way from the lake to the dock and from the dock back out to the lake, you'll never have a problem. But it's the right speed. It's not go super fast, but it's also not go super slow either. I sailed with a guy that didn't used to check down going into Hamilton until he got in past the bridge. He left it at 10 on, well, we say 10 on the stick. He left it full speed until he got clear of the piers inside the Hamilton Harbor all the time. Some people do that. Some people like to do 3 knots going through the piers. There's no one right answer to ship handling. The only goal is to get to or from the dock safely without causing or taking any damage. When I purchase the American Integrity, I'll hire you as captain. Tabitha, sign me up. Tabitha Stafford, yeah, sign me up. I'll come over for the Integrity. Absolutely. That'd be a great time. Oh, there it is. The camera's back. Yeah, Tabitha, if you get the American Integrity, sign me up. Let me know. I'll be there. Vibe with Mike and a nice guy. Skyward boots. Yeah, vibe with Mike. I've had a few conversations with Mike. We're hoping to get together when I get up to Duluth one of these days. Yeah, it depends on what the schedule has for me. I don't get to pick the schedule. I just go where they tell me. Having a good Skyward boats. Having a good cook is huge for crew morale. Having a good cook, I would say, is more important than having pretty much anything else. I'd rather have a good cook than have work gloves on the boat. To be honest with you, people can get their own work gloves. If you have a bad cook, people are getting their own food. Like I did, delivered by the JW Westcott. Jenny, good evening, Jenny. Steve, thank you for the live stream. Yeah, no problem, Steve. I'm hoping to do more of these in the future. Oh, Tori's leaving. Yeah, Tori's going out to save some people now. Good luck, Tori. Safe travels. Paul, what's Paul saying? I have been to Marine City, Michigan in the last 4 years. I've seen Neil go about a few times. Love being Marine City is a great place to watch the boats go by. They got a great beach there. They got a lot of I guess it's boardwalk going up all there. Marine City is pretty nice. Actually, I had a wheelsman. He always told me his favorite place in all the Great Lakes was in Marine City, and he'd never been there. Julio, he was one of my wheelsmen. He was fantastic. Julio was on the wheel when we had the fire in 2023. Tracy was watching the front net coming in and probably looked at least an hour to pull up. Yeah, Tracy, it's not easy to get into that East Windsor dock if you don't have the equipment to fight the current, and if you come in with a poor plan. I don't know why it took them so long, but East Windsor's it's not an easy place. You have to really know what you're doing, what the ship's going to do, and when the current's going to catch you. And if you don't, you can be in for big trouble. Sharon, thank you, Captain, for the live stream. Yeah, no problem. I love answering these questions. This is one of the reasons I started this channel was to raise awareness of the career path, and it's working. We're getting there. Plan to keep going, and I don't plan on stopping. I'm going to keep building it up until everybody knows that this is something that anyone in Canada or the USA could do. There's great fleets on both sides, and there's lots of room for people. The monkey fist. Yeah, we're not allowed to have monkey's fist. That's right. We can't use monkey fist anymore. Actually, I got a funny story about one of those. So it wasn't exactly a monkey's fist, but when I worked on passenger ships, we had it all. Wasn't a monkey's fist. For everyone that doesn't know, monkey's fist is a way of tying a ball around a heavy object. So you could fill it with sand or rocks or all kinds of other things to help. You would tie this ball with rocks and sand on the inside, and you would tie it to the end of the heaving line to make it go further, and it would go further into the wind or wherever else. And that was something that was used for a long, long time. Now we're not allowed to use them anymore. And I have a story about maybe why we're not. So when I was in, where was I? Taronga, New Zealand, and in Taronga, the dock we were at had a rental car place right beside the dock. So there was the dock, and then there was a working dock, and then there was a fence, and then there was a car rental lot here. And we had it wasn't a monkey's fist, but it was similar. So it was like orange weighted ball with an eye on the end, and we tie the heaving line to the eye, and we put this orange weighted ball into this air gun that we hooked up to the ship's compressed air line, and then we would open a valve, and it would fire this orange ball out with the heaving line attached to it, so we could get it to shore. And I guess on this day, the guy running the air gun, his aim was off, and he fired that ball out, and it sailed across the dock into the car rental lot and went through the windshield of one of the cars that was there. So that's probably one of the reasons why we're not allowed to use them, at least in Canada, being, Canada. But yeah, that was pretty funny. I don't think the rental car guy thought it was funny, but we did. Chuck, my career's over. I wish I would have known more about this industry when I was younger. Yeah, that's the thing, right? A lot of people, it takes time to go up. I did it pretty quickly, but there's been other people that have taken their time. It's taken years for them to get from one end to the other. Well, it took me, when did I start? I started sailing in 2008 or 2009, and I was promoted to captain in December 2020. So it took me 12-ish years, which is considered pretty quick, especially by some of the older guys. Some guys have been mate for years, or some of these hawse pipe guys have been doing it for 20, 30 years before they get up to captain. It's whatever you make of it, but yeah, it's worth it if you can. If you have the mental fortitude and the drive to do it, it's worth it. Um, you gotta Dealing with people's hard. Um, Dealing with it's not that the crew are bad. I like the crew. It's everybody working together towards the same goal is the issue. Um, People have their own ideas on what they want to do, and that's they're right. They're allowed to have their own thoughts and beliefs, and some people think they know better than others, and that's usually where the problem starts. But working with people is hard. That's the hardest part of the job. The hardest part about the career is not leaving home and saying goodbye to family or friends or anything like that. It's when you get that phone call that the basement's flooding and you're just left for 6 weeks. And what do you do now? Right? You're miles away and you can't help. That's the hard part. Or your kid's in the hospital and you can't get off the boat. I've been there too. Like I said, driving the boat's easy. People, it's hard. Paul, I drove 10 hours just to see the ships come from Cornwall, New York. Paul, you're not alone. I know lots of people that come out to the boats. I'm hoping to provide the next best thing, so that maybe you don't have to do the 10-hour drive so often, but there's really no replacement for coming out and seeing the boats. Had an old Great Lakes fleet captain who had one speed, full speed. Yeah, yeah. I think we've all had a few captains like that. They only have one speed, full ahead. What's the strangest thing I've ever seen in the water? Oh boy. Strangest thing I've ever seen in the water. I was on Lake Erie once, and I had one of those floating unicorns, inflatable unicorns went by, and I wasn't close to land. I was like between uh, Point Pelee and Long Point. That was strange. Um, I've had strangest thing I've seen in the water. Pretty recently, I saw one of those boats that look like cars in Detroit. That was pretty strange to see that. I thought there was a car floating on the water there. Forget where I put it. I think it was in one of my short videos. But yeah, strangest thing. Christopher, I've seen lots of things. Submarines. I've had close encounters with submarines. When I was in New Caledonia, I had a close encounter with a sea turtle. Carrier groups. I've been to Greenland, icebergs. I've been all over, seen all kinds of things. Um, Seen those, what do they call them? Those makeshift boats that they have in for the people trying to get from Cuba to the U.S. I've seen a few of them. Talk about getting stuck in the heavy ice and working with the Coast Guard. Well, there's not much to talk about there. You're stuck. So what happened was, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Manitoulin last winter. So getting stuck in the ice is a pretty normal thing on the Great Lakes. The news kind of made it out to be a lot worse than it was. I used to joke with the crew that if we ran out of food, we could just get our jackets on and walk to shore and go out to eat. So it wasn't really a big deal. But getting stuck in the ice is normal. So we need to, in order for a Coast Guard, like we can have scheduled Coast Guard assists and all that stuff, but the best way is just see how far you can get, and then Coast Guard will come help you. The U.S. and the Canadian Coast Guard do a lot over the winter to keep shipping lanes open. So shipping doesn't shut down in the winter. The tankers still run. Some of the salt ships still run. So it doesn't completely shut down in the winter, and getting stuck is just part of it. Now, we were only stuck for a few days. I worked with people that had been stuck for a couple weeks up in the Straits of Mackinac, waiting for someone to come get them. So, not a whole lot to talk about other than you just do the best you can with what you got. So, what we did is we left, well, we finished unloading in Buffalo. We had to stay there for a day or two because the storm on Lake Erie was pretty substantial, and I was concerned about freezing spray developing on the ship before layup. So freezing spray is when we get ice accumulation around the forward part of the ship because of the wave action. So the water comes up, and then it freezes in position, and then it keeps doing that. And you end up with these layers of water like an onion, um, of ice all the way around everything, and it could build up to be feet. And when you have that much ice accumulation up up forward, or anywhere really, that's a lot of weight added to the ship. So all that ice, it creates a big heavy mass. And when we go to layup, we pump all the ballast out, and the ship naturally takes on an arc because all the weight in the ship is back aft where the engine room is. So the buoyant force running along the ship's hull pushes up evenly all the way along the ship, but all the weight is at one end. So my concern was that if I had left right after we finished unloading, we would have accumulated ice, and then that would have created a big weight up forward and a big weight back aft, and now you get this kind of bending motion or a bending moment in the middle that may not be very great for the ship's hull. So we stayed for a couple days, and then we left. When we came in, the ice wasn't so bad. The ice was there, but we were able to get in on our own. When we left, what happened is the ice in Lake Erie, the wind was southwest, so it was blowing all the ice and water into Buffalo. So the ice ended up breaking up uh, from the wave action from the wind, and then it would raft on top of each other, creating these layers. Oh, the camera's going to come back any minute now. I just know it. Anyway, so it created these layers of ice. So the ice was only a few inches thick when we started, but then it later on got much, much thicker because it rafted on top of each other. And when it rafted on top of each other, it made it much thicker. So you can see in one of my short videos that one of the U.S. Coast Guard boats was stuck in the ice himself. He was trying to break through, and he had the engines on, but he couldn't make way. He had to back up and ram it a few times to get through. So there was a lot there. But yeah, so we left. We got stuck. Nick on the Great Lakes tug, he tried to help us out as best he could, but we couldn't. We needed an icebreaker assist. Well, the bow on the Manitoulin's so blunt that we're basically a big battering ram, like a plow rather than an icebreaker. So the U.S. Coast Guard, they came, they helped us out. They were great guys to talk to. Same with the Canadian Coast Guard. They're all great. Like I said, it's a normal thing. It just happens, and they were laughing at us, and I was laughing at him when he would get stuck. It was all fine. We had lots of food, although I did take on some extra stuff. That's why Nick did his Operation 3 pounds of bacon, coming out to the boat just to give us some extra food to get to Sarnia. Um, but yeah, no, everything was fine. I got stuck again that night in the middle of Lake Erie. I was up all day from when they freed us to when we got to when we got stuck later that night. I just shut it down and took some rest, and then I got up and we started again in the morning. Lake Erie was pretty solid last year. My native Windsor area guy. Yeah, I live on, well, you guys can't see it because I got the background thing, but right over there is Lake St. Clair. Um, so I am very close by. I do I do live in the area, Windsor, Essex area. I'm lucky to be 2 blocks from the Peace Fountain. Is the Peace Fountain on? I haven't seen it on this year. I thought I don't know if they turned that on. Tracy, you're gonna have to let me know if they turned that on this year. I haven't seen it on. Lauren, I was on my trip to visit ships in winter layout when the Manitoulin came into Sarnia. Drove down to Algonac and stopped there to see your travel. Yeah, well, that might have been me bringing it into Sarnia. If that was last winter, Lauren, that was definitely me. That was the end of a very long saga that I covered in my YouTube channel. I got a time lapse from being at Anchor in Lake Huron, all the way down to Buffalo, and then all the way back. You should check it out because there was a lot of ice. Hey, Christopher, thank you for doing this for us. Great opportunity for all of us, not just you. Yeah, well, Christopher, I'm just trying to raise awareness. I know lots of people got lots of questions that they don't normally get to ask, so I'm here to maybe answer some of them. I do plan on doing more of these in the future. I do have to shut this down soon, though. I've been going for an hour and a half. I did say I was only going to go for an hour, but we got to carry on a little bit. I've been having a good time doing this, and I'm hoping to do lots of more like this in the future. Challenges with ice and Goderich. Oh my God, yeah, Goderich. Yeah, I got to play icebreaker in Goderich because the tug was inoperable. Yeah, yeah, I got to a 20-minute maneuver turned into 2 hours there in Goderich last year. Chuck, it usually takes me 20 minutes to get from the one grain dock to the other one. Took me about 2 hours because I had to use prop wash to break the ice. And the Windsor hum. Yeah, the Windsor hum. Yeah, that didn't that stop when they shut down Zug Island? I think that stopped. The fountain is gone. Yeah, Tracy, the fountain's gone. Yeah. Angie Rosary, we took a screenshot of the map with, yeah, Operation 3 pounds of bacon. Yeah, that's the story. Yeah, Nick brought the food out for us. He was calling it Operation 3 pounds of bacon. So yeah, what I did was I ordered a food truck to deliver to the Great Lakes towing dock there, and then Nick loaded it up because he's an awesome guy, and he brought it out. Marie, since you're a dad and kids are fascinated with you and ships, could you send you a letter? Would you reply? If so, how could they? You know what, Marie? They do this often in the U.S. It's run through the JW Westcott. So there's a program in the U.S. called it's a documentary run by the PBS. I think it's called Mail by the Pail or something like that. Anyway, on occasion, we'll get grade 3 and 4 students from the U.S. that'll write letters to the ship and ask, well, in crayon, which I think is fantastic. I got a bunch of them all listed up all over my office. on the boat. And they'll write letters asking us, if we go fishing or what the rank is and what rank we are and where we go and what we do. So if you go onto the JW Westcott's website, Marie, you can see their address and you send it to them, and then you just got to write the name of the ship on the envelope, and it'll get to us when we pass by. Lauren O. went to Goderich, Hamilton, Port Colborne, all along. Yeah, that's how I know Tony Pacos. Lauren, Tony Pacos, fantastic. Yeah, chili cheese dogs from Tony Pacos. You can't beat it. Any idea when you're coming through the Sulaks? No, I got no idea. Hot rodder, I don't know. I'll find out when I get on the boat. I can't even post a schedule when I'm on the boat because it changes so much. If I post a schedule saying this is what we got planned for the next 2 weeks, an hour later it's going to be completely different. That's just how our schedule works. It's frustrating sometimes. That Chuck knows this, just like everyone else. I'll often say that I don't know where I'm going until I get there, and that's very true because I've been en route to places and they say no, turn around, you got to go the other way. It's happened in the river on the way down St. Clair River. Had to turn around off recourse. We got a phone call at Hart's Landing there. Said, "Oh, you got to go up to Meldrum Bay to Lone Stone for Kingsville." Okay, well, we'll just turn around and go back up. It's the Great Lakes is very, very fluid. The traffic guys that I used to talk to a lot at Rand. Hey, Tori, thank you. Tori's a member now. Thanks, Tori. So that the traffic guys that I used to work with at Rand, they often describe the changing fluid schedule of ships in the fleet to be a Rubik's Cube. So they would describe it as you solve the one side of the Rubik's Cube, but now the other five sides are all messed up. So you're constantly moving it around and changing it, but then also the color of the tiles also change. So it's if you think of it like that, you can kind of understand it. So what happens is ships get delayed, or they load docks have breakdowns, unload docks have breakdowns. Companies aren't ready for the cargo yet. Trains don't arrive on time, right? So all this stuff plays into whether we can go to a dock or not, or if we're better going somewhere else. Because the season is short, and we don't run 12 months of the year. Well, salt and tanker stuff we do, but stone and grain and other products we don't. It it doesn't make sense for us to take a delay waiting at a dock if we could load a different cargo and go somewhere else instead, and then the boat would be full. So we're constantly trying not to wait. Waiting is kind of the enemy of our industry. We don't want to wait. We always want to be running, and we always want to be full. Oh, Tracy's got one more river question for me. Come on, Tracy, let me have it. Do you think you could ever be able to do a live on your ship for us? Christopher, I am building towards that. I am building towards doing live streams on the ship. I did one. When did I do that? I did one going into Lock 8 in Port Colborne. The problem with doing the live streams on the boat that I have is that cell reception is not always great, and that's what I'm reliant on. Now, if we, all of us, got this channel to a place where it would make sense for me to get a mobile Starlink kit, um, then I would do that, and I would do live streams from the ship. But that is what I would need to be able to do it. Now I'm working for it. I've priced it out. Um, I know where I need to be, and I think we're going to get there. It's just going to be a little bit of time. It may not happen this year, maybe next year, but getting a mobile Starlink kit and doing live streams from the boat is something that I am working towards, Christopher. That's something that I am working towards. I've got it in mind, and it's something that's going to be coming. Dad and I will be going to Duluth in November 7th to 11th. Yeah, Mike, I hope that we are there. It would be great. I I always love going to Duluth and seeing all the people on the piers. That's fantastic. I'll go out and wave if I can. Sometimes a little bit preoccupied if things aren't super simple going in. But yeah, I always do try to go out and wave as best I can, especially if there's kids and that around. Right, my boy, he loves boats and cars, and so yeah, I know what it's like. Tim and Mary, William wants to thank you. Matt, tell William I'll see him on the next video. And if William wants to see anything on the boat, you let me know what he wants to see, and I'll show it to him. I'll put it in a video for sure. Definitely loved all the fun AIS jokes like the Leroy Jenkins. Yeah, not a lot of people got Leroy Jenkins, but that one was my favorite because so Skyward Boats. Yeah, I'm gonna go on to this one because this was one of my favorite ones from last year. So we were doing our last load on the Manitoulin of the season. So we were going up to Thunder Bay to load grain to come back down and take the Buffalo. That was our last trip. Now, Lake Superior wasn't really cooperating with us at that time. It was quite windy and wavy. So there were some other ships going up to Thunder Bay and Duluth and all that. And they were taking the North Shore, which is the safest route to go when Lake Superior is not cooperating. So we the timing that it would have taken for us to go up and get a full load of grain for Buffalo and then come back down and go to full load of grain and then come back down and go to Buffalo. If we had taken the North Shore to go across Lake Superior at that time, we would not have made. We either wouldn't have made the lock closure in Sault Ste. Marie, which was closing soon, or we wouldn't have been able to take a full load out of Thunder Bay. That's if we took the North Shore. So the waves weren't too bad, and it was supposed to come down. So we just kind of decided to say screw it, and we were going to go across and get a full load for Buffalo because those Buffalo guys, I like them, and we wanted to go out on a win. So we went straight across Lake Superior, and for anyone that doesn't know the Leroy Jenkins thing, you got to look it up on YouTube, and it's about this Warcraft team, and it's a team of people playing a video game, and they're all talking about how they're going to do this next encounter and how they're going to fight the next boss and all this stuff, and they're getting very detailed and everything. And then Leroy Jenkins just starts screaming his name and runs by himself into the boss area to go do everything on his own. So that's where Leroy Jenkins came from. And we were going straight across Lake Superior to load grain so that we could have a full load and make the lock going down to Buffalo. So we decided to do the old Leroy Jenkins and just run across by ourselves. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was from yeah, NIM 34. The Windsor hum, yeah, I think it was from Zug because when they shut it down, it stopped. Kathy, appreciate you taking the time to do this. Yeah, no problem. There's going to be more coming, but like I said, I got to shut it down in the next few minutes because we're starting to run on a little bit here, and there's going to be more. Don't worry, I'm going to be coming back. So if you got questions, just write them down, and I'll be back. Tracy, is the fog signal we hear in the east end automated? I think it's off the east end of Pesh Island. It could be. I'd have to look at the chart. I don't remember where all the fixed signals are. Some of them do come on. I know the Detroit River Lights got one. So some of them do have it. I forget if that one has one or not. That's something I'd have to look up. Joseph, really appreciate. Yeah, the lives are important. It's a way for me to reach out and connect to all of you, for you guys to ask questions, see who I am, and we get to have a little bit of a chat as well. So no problem, Joseph. There's going to be more like this in the future. Beck's-Way, marine traffic. Yeah. Mike, thank you. Thank you for becoming a member. Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it. Marine traffic is good. Boat Nerd, Robert Higgins. Yeah, marine traffic is good. Boat Nerd's got a tracking system as well. I use marine traffic. I use marine traffic to see where people are in the river before I get there so I can start planning meets, believe it or not. So it's used as a navigational tool for us as well as anything else. Tracy, I get the Alcoma fleet reports through a contact of mine through work. It's interesting. Yeah, Tracy, if you see the schedules changing, then you know. I don't know where I'm going until I get there. Yeah, thanks, Tori. Appreciate you joining the captain's table there. Appreciate that, Tori. Thank you. For those of you who don't know, Tori is a air paramedic. She works in the air ambulance, doing patient transfers and all kinds of things in helicopters and airplanes. She's got a very, very cool job. Mike, yeah, thanks for coming to the captain's table there, Mike. I appreciate that as well. Thank you very much for that. Christopher, next time you're, I'll go in the Sioux. Let me know. I'll send you guys a box. Christopher, if you're going to send pizzas, you better bring them down yourself and you come hang out with us for a couple hours. Sorry, I forgot about that. Who was the one who laughed? But I was the one who laughed at Leroy Jenkins before I knew it channeled. Yeah, sorry, yeah, Leroy Jenkins. That was, yeah. If I do another Leroy Jenkins, it's definitely going in the EIS. Jenny, always appreciate your salute support here on. Yeah, Jenny. If you're there in the Port Huron, you're there with a few other people, and yeah, I'll blow the whistle going by Port Huron, as long as it's not at you know an ungodly hour in the middle of the morning where I'm going to wake the whole crew up. Mike, help. Yeah, thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. Tracy, thank you for joining the members. Thank you for joining the deckhand. What year, Eric? What year did you graduate Georgian? I was pretty sure you were finishing when I was starting. Eric, yeah, probably. I graduated in 2011 from Georgian, so I might have been there while you were there. Quick question: I've noticed the American fleet almost always salute each other when passing. However, the Canadians are at 50-50. Is that normal? Tabitha, yeah. So that the whistle is always the captain's discretion. Um, the whistle is not a requirement. It's something that we do to salute each other as well as people on the shore. It's not a requirement for anything. The only requirement for the whistle is if we have restricted visibility or any kind of other regulatory requirements under the we call them the collision regulations, but it's the Convention for Prevention of Collisions at Sea or some long name. Anyway, they have a whole list there. Maybe that's something I'll get into in the future about when and where we have to do it. But saluting is something that we do for ourselves. When the Canadians, sometimes we do it when we know the other captain. I try to do it anytime I see an Algoma boat now. It's a team thing. Some people don't like doing it, and there's some captains out there that are real, let's say, pains, and they don't do it for anybody, or they'll wait for somebody to give it to them first before they'll give it back. Some captains that I've worked with say it's a seniority thing that the junior captain always has to salute the senior captain first, and they won't do it otherwise. So it depends. Everyone's got their own thing. Some people, yeah, Windsor does have great pizza. I'm still learning the pizza places. I don't venture into Windsor too much, but I'm hoping to in the future. Orders are always changing. Yeah, Skyward boats. Yeah, orders are always changing. There's always something going on at a dock. Something gets shuts down. That's the nature of the beast, I guess, on the Great Lakes. And because the Great Lakes has also got something that international shipping really doesn't either, is we have the ability to go between several close ports, back and forth. So international shipping, usually if a foreign ship's coming in, they have a bunch of customs information. Like we deal with customs, but they have uh, lots of customs things that they have to deal with before they can move from one port to another. Whereas for us, it's very simple. So I handle a lot of the customs filing on board. There's a shore component to what I do as well for the cargo and the ship. But I do a lot of the paperwork myself, and then use they'll use my information to complete the package, so to speak. So they can't just bounce around like we can. So because we have that ability, that's why the schedule changes so fast. If there's going to be a lineup somewhere, or somewhere's broken down or the cargo's not there on time, we have the ability to quickly change and go somewhere else. Oh, you can blow the horn at the ungodly hours. Yeah, I do sometimes, but I try not to. If I'm not going to wake the crew up, I do it. I did it more on the Manitoulin than I did on the than I do on the Buffalo. Tabitha, yep. Get me on the integrity. Sign me up. Robert Higgins. When crew is sleeping, I did like the deck lights flash. Yeah, so I have been. That's something that Tori put me on to is flashing the deck lights. I didn't know that was a thing. Until Tori brought it up to me. So that's something that I'm going to continue to do. And she's also told me where a few of the live cams are, so I'm watching for them now, and I'll be flashing the lights as we go by at night or blowing the whistle, depending on where we are and what we're doing. There's a captain who lived in Port Huron. He would light up the whole shore with a spotlight. Sloop going. Yeah, I know there's a few people that are not very happy with me near Sombra for using the spotlight. Sombra is a bit of a mission to get into sometimes, and I use the spotlights on the shore because I don't want to, destroy anyone's dock, and it's hard to tell how far off the shore you are unless you can see it on the light. So yeah, I know there's a few people there in Sombra that are pretty happy. I haven't been there this year yet. Guido's in Sioux, Michigan. Best. Well, you know what, Deborah, I'm gonna have to try Guido's because pizza's kind of my thing. I love pizza, so I'm gonna be trying that one. Biggest water I've been in on the Great Lakes. Dan, do you mean accidentally or purposely? So I've been through uh, 10, 12 footers on the lakes. It's not something I care to repeat again. That was in northern Lake Michigan. It was not pleasant. The ship was flexing. The crew didn't sleep well. Actually, when I did it on purpose because I was racing an Algoma ship over to Green Bay and I wanted to get there first. Um, we so that makes it sound bad. So what it was, we were loaded with salt for Green Bay. We were coming out from Lansing Shoal and going over to the Green Bay entrance. Um, the way that the waves and the wind were, I was able, after coming around onto the lake, I was able to find a heading where the ship was pretty stable. And because of that, we continued on to Green Bay. Now, if when I came around the shoal and I was lining up Lake Michigan, if it had been worrisome to me, I would have turned around then and gone back. But because we were able to find that heading that the ship remained mostly stable and wasn't moving around a whole lot, um, I thought it was safe to proceed, and it was. We went there, we had no incident. We went to Green Bay, we unloaded, and we came back. Actually, I went in and it came out, and I called the Algoma guy on the way out. I said, "There's a lot of current in there." I had a hard time getting the stern up river to get out. And he said, "Oh yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to go in tomorrow." So but yeah, those 12 footers and anything more safety of the ship, care of the ship, care of the crew. That's priority number one. Um, Tracy, I will always give a wave when I see you down at the park. Well, I'll be looking for you, Tracy. We go up and down the river a lot. I'm never far away from it. Hi, Hunter. Welcome to the chat. Kind of catching the tail end of this one, unfortunately. Sorry. I'm going to sign off here in a minute. Usually when ASC boats pass each other. Yeah, Skyward boats. Yeah, so that's a seniority thing. Some some guys take it a bit. I don't know. For me, it's a bit serious. Just recognize the same team, the same skill sets. Just say hi, right? Difficult or challenging port to get into? Well, that's kind of a loaded question. Buffalo's pretty tight going up to that ADM dock. That one's a bit tricky. Um, Saginaw is just more of a marathon. It's not as narrow as Buffalo, but it's long. It's an 18-hour day usually going in and out of Buffalo. So it really depends. Challenging is kind of a loaded word there, JP. Buffalo, Chicago is another one. Chicago's another one that's a bit tricky. Toledo, just because of the bridges. The bridges in Toledo are notorious for maintenance issues. Um, so sometimes there's problems there. One of the captains I worked with, I forget which one it was. It was either Independent, no, not Independence. Yeah, Independence or no, not Independence is in Saginaw. Sorry, it was either Craig Street or the Dr. Martin Luther King Bridge. One of them, they're drawbridges, so they have two sides that raise up like this. So one of the captains that trained me, he told me he was going through there one time, and the bridge opened, but then one side came back down after he was already committed. So there is a point when you get committed to a maneuver where you are unable to stop or safely abort. And because he was committed, he decided that when the one side went up and the other didn't, he would only go under the side that went up. And he's lucky he didn't take the top of the mast off when he did it. And he was on, I think he was on the Cuyahoga when he did it. But anyway, so things like that happen from time to time. And that raises its own challenges. Cleveland, the NS1 bridge has always got a train on it. I've never been in and out of Cleveland without seeing a train on that NS1 bridge. Never. I also had an incident where was it? Columbus Road in Cleveland. He was asleep. I was going up the river. It was 2 in the morning. Bridge didn't open. I tied up there to the river dock and I held the horn down until I got a call on radio. Cuyahoga, are you guys coming through here? Yep. Please open. Yeah. Marie, is your kids following your footsteps or do they have other interests? Marie, my kids can do whatever their interests are. Maybe they want to do this. Maybe they don't. We'll see. They're too young for that just yet. My daughter's going to be 9 in February. My son's turning 4 next month. So we'll see. Son loves cars. Maybe he'll do something with that. Dan, hey, thank you. Just trying to do my part here, bringing the career to the world. To Mary, the spotlight was great at the house we stayed at in the Sioux. We're up at Two Harbors. Oh yeah, Two Harbors. Oh yeah, that would have been good. Two Harbors is a great spot. I like going into Two Harbors. People walk out on the pier. Thank you. Hi, this is great. Did you get a chance to watch a documentary on Winter Pizza? I sent you. West Coast Post. Nikki, no, I haven't. I'm going. That's something I'm working on. I've been pretty busy since I've been home. I've been slacking on the videos too. I got a video I'm trying to get out for Saturday morning, but it'll be out. I'm still working on it. It's coming. Grand Haven during the Coast Guard Festival. Yeah, no, I haven't been to Grand Haven for the Coast Guard Festival yet, but I do hope to get out there. Lyle Davis, great live stream. Yeah, no problem, Lyle. I plan on doing more of these in the future, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, and you'll get a notification when I'm going. I put a post out a few days before asking when the best time to do it was, and I'll let you guys vote on it, and I'll put some days up that are good for me, that work for me, and then I'll let you guys decide, and we'll do this again. Lauren, yeah, no problem, Lauren. No problem. Lots more of this coming. Tracy, love the live. Thanks for doing this. No problem, Tracy. Yeah, we're gonna sign off the stream here now. I think we're coming to a pretty logical conclusion for today. I will be back. There will be more, and stay tuned. 2 hours on the first live. Didn't think it'd go this long, and we got we got 70 people. I think I saw 80 at some point. This is fantastic. So I'll definitely be doing more of this again, and I will see you all again in the future. Another time lapse coming out on Saturday. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you.